Pharisees. What are Pharisees? A Pharisee is incorrect argument in logic and rhetoric, resulting in a lack of validity or more generally, a lack of soundness. Pharisees are either formal Pharisees or informal Pharisees. When you think of formal Pharisees, it is an error in logic, an error in reasoning that can be seen in the argument's form. And all formal Pharisees are specific types of non sequiturs. Take this Pharisee, one we call it appeal to probability, or which takes something for granted because it would probably be the case or might be the case. We shall see the example later. Another Pharisee is argument from Pharisee. That one assumes that if an argument for some conclusions is fallacious, then the conclusion itself is false. There is also what we call base rate Pharisee, making a probability judgment based on conditional probabilities without taking into account the effect of prior probabilities. There is also conjunction Pharisee. This Pharisee assumes that an outcome simultaneously satisfying multiple conditions is more probable than an outcome satisfying a single one of them. There is also masked man Pharisees, or illicit substitution of identicals. The substitution of identical designators in a true statement can lead to a false one. Now, just mention some now, because of time. Conditional or questionable Pharisees. There is this one I want you to take very seriously here. Though we shall get Latin jargons for these things, I want to start easy so that it becomes easier for anyone. There is this we call broken widow Pharisee. This is an argument which disregards lost opportunity cost, typically non-obvious, difficult to determine, or otherwise hidden, associated with destroying property of others, or other ways of externalizing cost onto others. For example, an example of broken widow Pharisee is an argument that states breaking a window generates income for a window fitter, but disregards the fact that the money spent on the new window cannot now be spent on new shoes. Okay, so it's called broken window Pharisee. So that it is good that the tree came and knocked off the windows of my neighbor, because a certain poor man will get a salary after fixing them back. It's a Pharisee because or an error in reasoning, or an error in argumentation, because it disregards the fact that we are all trampled by COVID-19. We are all broke. That person who will be paying the fitter will also not take children to school because the money will now go to fitting back the window. So it's called broken window Pharisee. And when you go to the streets, there's a lot of fallacious talking. Gumzo mitaani. They keep saying Kenya is finished. Kenya is the lowest, the poorest country now in Africa. With all these debts, is the poorest. That is a Pharisee, because when you go to the internet, you will be surprised. It is the 6th biggest economy in Africa. It has even beaten Ethiopia in the 2020 with all the COVID in terms of figures. With, I said, $99 billion, yet it was $23 billion in the year, the December 2002. It has shot up by $76 billion upwards. So you may have to go and look for figures. Why is that money? Because people are broke. We may find out. Is it individuals who are keeping the money? That is another question altogether. Or who is this person? How is the distribution of wealth in this country? That's another question altogether. But trying to say that Kenya is now the poorest country without facts, without figures, without consulting the right people, the right information. That is a Pharisee, because what are you basing your argument on? There is also another Pharisee, you call it slippery slope, asserting that a relatively small first step inevitably leads to a chain of related events culminating in some significant impact or event that should not happen. Thus, the first step should not happen. While this fallacy is a popular one, it is in essence an appeal to probability fallacy. That is, if person X does Y, then Z would probably occur, leading to Q, leading to W, leading to E. This is also related to reductio ad absurdum fallacy. We shall see this Latin one. Reductio and absurdum is more of a reductionist fallacy. That because this child passed, this other one coming and in the same school is still going to pass, without assessing whether this other child does good work, academic assignments or tuition and leads properly. You see, you are just putting it using those probabilities without something to back the logic that you are trying to bring. So you are illogical, in short. Fallacies are illogical argumentations generally, or errors in reasoning or in argumentation. Let's think of certain fallacies called red herring. We can look at one. Red herring first is an argument given in response to another argument which is irrelevant and draws attention away from the subject of argument. We can be talking about economy. All of a sudden somebody introduces gender theme. All of a sudden it's more and tells us, do you know somebody has killed somebody? There's a war in a family. We're fighting. And we are talking about some, and there's there's no war in the family level. People are just talking, they are discussing. That's a red herring. Even when you shout in the street, fire, 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 that's red herring, because if there could be no fire and you have made people run helter-skelter, stepping on one another, sometimes killing one another, it can be problematic. Ad hominem is attacking the arguer instead of the argument. It's also part of the red herring. It's called, we have now entered